her husband and children. We checked in on the family members today.
We've had 6 years to complain, and we have complained.
Republican lawmakers are trying to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, but people across the nation, including here in Lexington, say they want their health care protected.
Rain is back again today. This is a common thing, though, for the new work week. We're going to have a daily chance for these showers in town. We'll break it all down for you.
This is WKYT News at 6.
Good Sunday evening to you. I'm Miranda Combs. Thanks for watching WKYT. A Southern Kentucky family is still without answers tonight. It's been more than 24 hours since state police say a Whitley County mother shot and killed her husband and their 2 daughters. The shooting happened Saturday night in the Savoy community off US 25 West. The sheriff says the mother, Courtney Taylor, also threatened his deputies when they got to the home. Taylor was shot by deputies and then taken to UK hospital. WKYT's Caitlin Sintner talked to a relative. It's our top story at 6.
The Whitley County family says you just don't expect something like this. It's been a tough almost 48 hours for a family who lost 3 and has 1 in the hospital. Whitley County Sheriff Colin Harrell says Larry Taylor and his 2 children, 18-year-old Jesse Taylor and a 13-year-old, were shot in their beds. He says a relative went to the home after not hearing from the family, then called 911. When sheriff's deputies got to the house, they found Taylor's wife, Courtney, there with a pistol in hand. We're told she pointed that gun at a deputy, and after she didn't put it down, the deputy fired. Courtney has been at UK hospital since. The sheriff gave us an update today saying after a second surgery, she's now listed in stable condition. She's in Kentucky State Police custody at the hospital, and we're told charges will be filed. Numerous people from Whitley County and surrounding areas have been extending their condolences to the family on social media. I talked to one of Courtney's cousins who says their daughters were essentially inseparable. They were born 2 months apart, and she says they spent the majority of their days together. Caitlin Sentner, WKYT.
And the sheriff told us yesterday that the shootings may have happened several hours before 911 was called. New details tonight about a shooting investigation in Lexington. Police are asking anyone for information to please come forward. Police were called to the King Cobra Motorcycle Club on East 3rd Street Saturday morning around 2:45. They say they found a 38-year-old man there who had been shot. That man was taken to UK hospital, where police say he is still in critical condition. The man's name has not been released. Police believe there were several people in the area at the time of the shooting, but they do not have a motive or a suspect yet. New tonight, 2 people are behind bars after investigators say they attacked an elderly man and stole several items from his home. 80-year-old Wallace Conley says the people broke into his Johnson County home Friday night. They say he saw a man standing over him with a weapon. Conley tells us that man hit him several times before taking items from his home. His daughter says Conley almost died.
You don't have to knock my father in the head. Now, we're not going to give people money to buy drugs, but if you have a true need, we've always been there.
Conley is now recovering. Troopers say Arthur Webb and his mother, Ronnie Webb, charged in connection to that home invasion. They are both facing first-degree robbery, burglary, and assault charges. The icy weather hitting the Midwest is being blamed for several deaths tonight. Much of the region has been hit with rounds of wet weather. The latest storms have left behind about a 1/4 inch of ice. Police in Kansas say the ice has caused several crashes. Some are deadly. The icy weather also pushed back the start time for today's NFL playoff game in Kansas City. The divisional playoff between the Kansas City Chiefs and Pittsburgh Steelers was originally scheduled for noon, but the kickoff has now been pushed back to 8:20 Eastern Time. Well, it doesn't look like that icy weather will hit much of the bluegrass. In fact, we're tracking a warm-up for the work week. Meteorologist Jim Caldwell has an early check of the forecast. Hey, Jim.
We will see those temperatures climb again tomorrow. Today, kind of dreary, just like it has been, but we're going to get a big surge of warmth that will allow the temperatures to actually go up. Right now, I'm looking back toward downtown, and usually you would see the skyline of the city, but you're not seeing anything out there at the moment. Why? The mist, rain, and all the nastiness. It's 40 degrees right now, excuse me, in Lexington, and with a feels like temperature of 34. Winds are coming in out of the east very, very lightly at this point, around 5 to 6 miles per hour. Here's one of the reasons it looks so yucky out there. We're covered up in rain. There you see it on our Defender radar network, generally light across most of the area. You can see some heavier bands to our north, but that's really about it. But the coverage is all across Kentucky here. And you can see it more so out to our east along Interstate 64, from here to Mount Sterling to Owensville, Moorhead, and down toward the Mountain Parkway from Campton to Salyersville. What will happen over the next few hours as we look at our future radar, all of this rain will lift through the area by about 10, 11 o'clock, and then we're dry as far as any new rainfall is concerned. We'll have more chances, though, probably tomorrow night again. We will break that chance down coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Jim, see you soon. President-elect Donald Trump will be sworn in as the nation's 45th president later this week, but Republicans are already making some big changes. Last week, lawmakers started the process of dismantling the Affordable Care Act, and top GOP leaders say they plan to replace the act at the same time. But several people say they want their health care protected. WKYT Sabira Rayford talked to protesters about their concerns. She joins us now from the live desk. Sabira?
Miranda, on Thursday, GOP senators took a big step in repealing the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. In the 51-48 vote, a budget blueprint was approved, allowing them to change the health care law without the threat of a Democratic filibuster. The House passed an identical version on Friday, putting it into effect. Today, protests were held around the country, including here in downtown Lexington. Many people that showed up to the protest talked about their positive experiences with Obamacare. Protest leaders Tyler Murphy says the repeal would have a negative impact.
So we saw so many different examples of how repealing this law would impact real people, real lives in our community. This is not something we're talking about in the abstract. This is something that is going to have real and meaningful impacts on people across our country.
Now, in response to recent protests today, GOP Senator Rand Paul gave a preview of the Obamacare replacement plan on CNN's State of the Union. He says their plan is to get rid of the Obamacare mandates and legalize the sale of inexpensive insurance.
I believe that it's incredibly important that we do replacement on the same day as we do repeal. We've had 6 years to complain, and we have complained. I've been one of those complaining about Obamacare. Replacement should be the same day.
Paul's plan didn't directly address how the replacement plan will affect states that have signed on for expanded Medicaid offered as a part of Obamacare. He did say that the expansion will be part of the repeal process, which requires a simple majority vote for passage. Paul also said that money for more Medicaid should come from higher state taxes. At the live desk, Sabir Rayford, WKYT.
Thanks, Sapira. And Senator Paul was the only Republican to vote against Thursday's budget resolution. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan reiterated last week that Republicans are committed to repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act simultaneously. As lawmakers keep busy, event leaders are getting ready for the big day. Today, dozens were outside the U.S. Capitol for a dress rehearsal. Inauguration Day is Friday, but there will be events and celebrations around our nation's capital in the days leading up to it. President-elect Trump will become the nation's 45th president. Several young Kentuckians are getting ready to head to Washington, D.C. for the festivities. Among them, a Lexington teenager. Ali Sheikh is a 15-year-old sophomore at Henry Clay High School. Sheikh has been invited to the National Youth Leadership Forum, an annual conference for high school students. He says being in person at the event is an historic time and a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
I will probably never forget about this, and I'm also really glad because then I get to see somebody meaningful to the world. It's just really an extraordinary experience.
And Sheikh will leave for Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. A final curtain call for the greatest show on earth. Ringling Brothers and Barnum & Bailey Circus is shutting down after 146 years in operation. The final performance will be May 21st in Uniondale, New York. The company's CEO called it a difficult decision. He said ticket sales were not enough to match the high cost of running the show. And after the circus recently stopped using elephants, sales slowed even more. Still to come, there are plenty of MLK Day festivities in the area tomorrow. We will run them down for you in about 6 minutes.